Hello everyone and welcome. This is a special video that is only going to go up on YouTube. I'm looking at the release today, which I'll put the link to in the description, of the updated version of Blood Bowl 3, the new rules. Games Workshop have leaked some, teasered some more skill changes, roster changes, and just generally a lot of changes in Blood Bowl 3 for the third season. So I'm going to dive through them. I'm going to walk through it as they've gone and laid it out, and we'll have a look and see what we've got in here. So the article first of all talks about this is Jim and Bob talking to Jay being the lead designer on Blood Bowl, and it says, Jay said here, developing a new edition of any game provides a whole host of challenges and opportunities to get stuck into. The Blood Bowl Roots team spent countless hours analysing the previous edition, breaking it down and looking for what could be improved, and reading through all the feedback from you, the avid Blood Bowl fan base, to ensure that this season will be in line with what fans wanted. The most important thing to point out is that new edition of Blood Bowl is still the game that we all know and love, so that sounds like there's not a massive deviation away from what we've already got in this season, but more tweaking and getting rid of some of the things that we have previously maybe complained about. Those that have worked on and playtested the new edition, first and foremost diehard Blood Bowl fans, we want to see every aspect of the game thrive. A lot of love and passion has been poured into this edition, taking on as much community feedback as we can to deliver what we believe to be the best edition of Blood Bowl to date. So that's pretty strong words. So first of all, what have we got here? So clear wording and terminology. Though it might not be immediately obvious that some of the changes on this list, a huge amount of effort has been put into rewording the various rules to be clearer and to use consistent terminology. I think for people who've played a lot of the game, referencing, for example, can you use dodge on a blitz? Can you not use dodge on a blitz? Where do you go and look to see what that actually looks like? That looks like they are then trying to tidy that up. So I wait to see what the actual rulebook looks like, but that sounds pretty exciting as someone who's played a lot of Blood Bowl. The aim has been to make the new edition easier to navigate and follow for new and veteran coaches alike. A good example of this is when a player becomes distracted. Now, this is a catch-all term for when a player loses their tackle zone. So when a player fails their bonehead roll, or really stupid, or becomes subjugated to hypnotic gaze, they are now distracted. So you'd have to remember what the difference between losing your tackle zones is. For me, I think that sounds like a really good change. Secure the ball. So this was revealed recently, as it just says there, that there is a new action called Secure the Ball. Now, let's see what it actually says. So, a player can make this action, make a move action to pick up the ball and attempt to pick it up on a 2+, regardless of their agility. Sounds pretty strong. Once they have picked it up, their activation immediately ends, so there's no picking it up and handing it off or throwing it or moving around afterwards. However, there are some caveats. A player that cannot declare this action if there is a standing opposition player who is not distracted, i.e. still has their tackle zones, within 2 squares of the ball, so you can't do it inside a scrum. Sounds interesting. Additionally, if a player that has the big guy or one with the unsteady trait, unsteady must be something new we haven't seen yet, they cannot declare this action at all. So people were talking about, would a Saurus be able to do it? Well, Saurus isn't a big guy, but maybe it's unsteady. So we'll have to have a look at that and see what that is in the rules pack. They've released a whole heap of new tokens. So we've got Rooted, Eye Gouge, which we haven't seen yet, Chomped, Stunned, Distracted, so we're going to see a lot of those, Dodgy Snack, Prone and Blitz. So a new addition to the game are handing up Blood Bowl tokens that denote all manner of things on the pitch. These include treatment being rooted and players becoming prone, distracted or stunned, among other conditions. These fit around the base of the model so they can be clearly seen so that both coaches can understand what is affecting each player at a glance, rather than having to work out some form of code where models were actually affected by Bonehead, we're all facing left. So in tabletop, a lot of the time you actually have third-party miniature things that go on top of them. So I've seen people with little dunces hats, which I thought were really great for really stupid, or they just get a rubber band that says Bonehead or Hypnogazed. There is even a key recommended colours, so you can paint your tokens to help your coaches recognise them from afar. So that's pretty good. This is most apparent with the prone stunned tokens. In previous editions of the game, we used to lie down models to denote they were prone or stunned. So prone face up, stunned face down. However, this came with its own set of issues. Some of the models were too big, and also some models, certainly from third-party manufacturers, they don't lie face down or face up very well because of the way that they were posed. So you often used to replace those with little discs that said prone and stunned. So what they're saying now is you don't lie models down at all. What you do is you use these tokens. Interesting to see whether that fully catches on. It's certainly a novel idea. I'm curious to see how that'll look like. And also, since we played Blood Bowl 3, or what will be Warhammer Blood Bowl, how will that look inside the game visually in the new edition? That's an interesting one. So, passing. One of the biggest aspects of passing, one of the biggest aspects of feedback for the previous edition, with that passing had become far too restrictive and borderline pointless for many teams to even attempt it. It was overly complex and confusing for many coaches. Yeah, I completely agree with all that. It was very, very complicated for no real reason. We've taken this on board and removed wildly inaccurate passes, and we've removed deflections. So this not only makes passing and intercepting easier, but it also makes them far simpler to understand. I think what they've said there is, effectively, you've got fumble, you've got inaccurate pass, an accurate pass, and then you either intercept it or you don't. That is literally going back to the previous edition. Okay, fine. Additionally, many players have had their passing ability improved. Ooh. Okay, that's interesting. Meaning it's not just throws that can throw the ball, although they're definitely still best at it. So they're talking about messing around with the stats there. That's interesting. New skills and traits. We've seen introduce a number of new skills and traits providing new abilities for your players, like steady footing mentioned in the release article. Punt allows players to kick the ball forward without causing a turnover. Ooh, okay. Taunt allows the player to force an opponent to follow up when they are blocked. That sounds like the opposite of fend. And bullseye allows a big guy to not have to scatter a thrown player as long as they make a superb throw. Don't play stunty, but that sounds interesting. That sounds like it might be a bit of a weapon. Additionally, made skills and traits have been seen improvements. Monstrous Mouth now allows a player to perform a chomp special action. Don't know what a chomp special action is, but that sounds exciting. Armbar now awards star player points for any casualties caused by it. And shadowing now triggers on a straight 4+. Oh, the shadowing change, that's awesome. Because working out what the shadowing was, and is it a 5+, a 6+, a 3+? Oh my god. No, shadowing's just a straight 4+ every time. That's pretty good. It's a shame it's not 3, because that would be really actually quite good. But a 4's pretty good. Finally, there's a new category of skills. Wait, what? Devious skills. Some players, like Goblins, have access to these as primary skills. Others may have them as a secondary skill, whilst players that traditionally adhere to the Blood Bowl rules of Blood Bowl may not have access to it at all. Okay. There are a number of new skills in this category and a number of others being moved here as well, such as Dirty Player, Pile Driver, and Shadowing, Sneaky, and more. Okay. So skill trees have been reworked, is what we can infer from that. Interesting. Team roster changes. Wait, okay. So perhaps the biggest change in the edition is that all of the rosters have been looked at, tweaked, and changed to provide a new and exciting challenges for the coach. The first thing to note is that the number of positionals on a roster will now match what is in the team box, meaning you should never have to buy a second box just to get more blitzers or runners or whatever. Well, that has interesting implications, because not all the team boxes are the rosters. That makes sense why they're changing it. There are a couple of exceptions to this. Positionals that were entirely separate from the contents of the team box, such as Goblin secret weapons or Dark Elf assassins, Bull Centaurs, and most big guys, will remain untouched, as they don't require you to buy a second team box. They'll load of redundant models. Additionally, the Ogre team will still allow 0 to 6 Ogres, as otherwise the team simply wouldn't function, plus you get additional Ogres sold separately. Whilst this will mean a number of rosters will lose a number of their better players, what we have done is rebalance the number of those positionals with improved stats or skills across the board to account for this. And here are some examples. A Skaven team can only take 2 Gut Runners. Okay, but their Blitzers have now gained +1 movement and Strip Ball. Well, that's interesting. So you've only got 2 Gutters, but now you've got Blitzers that have got Strip. So you're actually going to build the Gutter Runners not as Ball Sackers, but as ball retrievers, I guess, because the blitzers are going to be piling in. That's exciting. Dark Elves can only take 2 blitzers, boo. But runners have gained punt. That's the free, as they said at the top, that's the free kick the ball without causing a turnover. And their assassins gained hit and run. Oh, sexy. Which also now works with stab. Okay, assassins having hit and run, I like this. Undead can only take 2 ghouls, but these gain regeneration. Okay. And the zombies gained eye gouge. I don't think they covered what eye gouge was. Okay. These are by no means the only roster changes. Every team has been reassessed, with many teams gaining improvements, new or different skills, or new special rules with which they change how they play on the pitch. We need a rule book. That's what that paragraph says. That paragraph says we need a rule book. The main aim of these changes is to provide coaches with this new gaming experience. Many coaches have seen Blood Bowl as a solve game where the best build for each roster is already determined. The new edition will shake this all up and provide experienced coaches with a brand new challenge to get their teeth sunk into. Well, that's, for me, that's possibly the most exciting bit of the article, right? What they're saying there is you're taking the whole game. They've not completely destroyed it, which is what they said at the top of the article, but what they have done is shaken it up and completely changed things where needed, and we get to go and resolve it. So 2026 is going to be an exciting year for Blood Bowl for me. Then it closes out, I guess, with thanks, Jay. It sounds like a sure amount of care and effort has been put into the new edition. Blood Bowl 3rd edition season will be available pre-order soon, so make sure you keep your eyes on the warhammercommunity.com for more information. Well, with that in mind, I'm waiting for the new edition to drop. We need the rulebook. We need to see all the changes. When they do, please come back and see my next reaction video, because it's probably going to be pretty long as I go through the rulebook and really sort of tear it down. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.